Tiff, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Garvey. Present. Councilwoman Workala. Present. Councilman Brennan. Present. Councilman Harjo. Present. Mayor Sykes.
Present. Let the record reflect we do have a quorum for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025 for the budget meeting. So really quick, council, first off, I want to thank all the department heads being here. I want to thank Tiffany for sitting down with department heads and some of those ELTs while I was away and kind of getting everyone all online. And then secondly, Paula, can you have give us kind of a summation of 2 pieces of paper that we received? This one?
Yeah, you guys didn't get this in your budget workbooks, but I was asked and I thought it would give you good information to share. So the 2024 budget is just a little more over $84 million, but the 25-26, the one you guys are being presented with, is $97 million. So there's a difference of $12 million. However, if you look at the next block, you'll see that we had $34 million in grants requests last year, and now we have $58 million. So the overall total increase is your grants of $23 million. So I just wanted to, like, when you see that number, it's a lot, but most of it, there's a lot of grants. And you do have this blue sheet to refer back to what those grants are. It's grants and our co-op pass-throughs. So that will refer you back to those numbers. And then this color chart, actually I did not do. I requested it from the county to do. And it was the taxes, like from 2019. So you have to kind of read it from right to left. So in 2019, an average house would pay, I think it's on $100,000, $1,010.74. Where if you move now to 24, it's half of that. It's $565. So, and then it gives you your residential and commercial, and then it shows you the commercial growth. We used to be 11%, and now we're 12.73. So it was a good piece of information for the council to have when we do the 3%, gain that 3%. It's not necessarily being passed on to the homeowner because we've grown enough that their taxes are actually decreasing based on the overall value of the city. Because when we annex property, that decreases the value of the taxes. It gets spread out more, I guess. So anyway, I just thought it was helpful information for you guys to have.
And we'll throw this out to the citizenry so they can see it. That was an easy ask. And then Scott, or sorry, Councilman Harjo.
A lot of this, I honestly should have thrown this up on the big board. I apologize. I'll just kind of show over here. I think Councilwoman Garvey, I didn't show this to you yet, and I'll kind of show it for the staff. Last year, being my first year of being in a municipal budget presentation like this, I mean, we get these binders and it's this big monolith, right? And we had a lot of discussion about change, and for myself, I realized after the fact that like creating some kind of change log that we can track what either department heads, city staff, mayor, council may request to make budget adjustments in. So line by line, I got just a blank document essentially that captures like the date, the requester, the department, the budget line, suggested change description, estimated change of plus or minus, a priority, and a status of open close, just so we can kind of keep track of like what those requests might be as we progress through these talks, and be able to kind of, as we wrap up, not just in the next couple days here, but as we approve later on, that we've addressed the things that we've talked about and don't lose track of it. And I recognize this becomes a matter of public record, so we'll send that to the clerk and everything.
Okay, with that, council, I would like to suspend Robert's Rules of Order and allow you guys to fire away at Tiff and team, ask questions, and with that, Tiff, the floor is yours.
All right, Mayor, Council, thank you for your time, and we appreciate all of my fellow colleagues' efforts in the preparation of the FY 25-26 budget. We believe it aligns with our strategic plan, implementing out and looking at the future of growth of Mountain Home and the city specifically. We definitely come to the table always looking at smart growth, taking into consideration planning, and then all of our infrastructure needs. So with that comes a balance of all sorts of things: quality of life, initiatives, and wastewater treatment plant facilities, and all of those things that bundle in. And everybody's important, and every department is valued. So in this year's strategy, a little different than last year's strategy, the departments have come to the table with everything they need to operate within their budget ask for. Looking out, projecting not just necessarily this year, it would be nice to have, but also in the future of next year, right? And currently the budget is balanced, excluding a few of the admin blank spots, which in the justification line is specific for the council to decide what those look like based off of the discussions we've had over a year regarding civic leaders, civic group donations or contributions, let's say. So I'm volleying that to you guys to decide that number as a council. As we work through today, I stand in front of my group, we're all happy with our budgets being presented to you, but we're ready to discuss what you think is valuable within that department or what needs to move to another year. But do realize that those items will continue to be set forth and come forward in future budget requests, because we are trying to work towards the future within our budget cycles and growth within our departments and our community. So a couple things to keep in mind. We're going to jump into salaries. You guys have all seen the schedule, but I do want to throw out a couple dates that are very important. There's not a whole lot of wiggle room. We have to disclose our dates, the days we're going to do public hearings, the days we're going to publish in the paper, and so we're in a time crunch. So we're really working today and tomorrow, and if we have to, we'll work Thursday. That's not a problem, but I want you to keep these dates in mind. The publication dates for this budget are going to be in the paper on August 13th and the 20th. There'll be a public hearing during your regular city council meeting on August 26th, and the ordinance will be read aloud on September 9th. And those dates are already set at the county level, and there's no wiggle room. So, okay, I just don't want anyone to come back to the table and saying I didn't know or didn't have a second chance. So, okay. For sake of time, we're done at 5 o'clock today. We'll be back tomorrow, right? Everyone's time is valuable. Okay, I'm going to turn over to my fellow colleague on salaries.
Sure.
Yeah, any questions so far? No? Okay. Tell me if I talk too much. Let's see if this works.
Yes, we hit the red button. Please.
Oh, shut off. Thanks, Dennis. You're my assistant now.
You didn't have to put any effort into that.
Before I guess we go in, last year we approved 3 positions in the city. Thank you. I could tell you wholeheartedly, I completely appreciate the employee that was hired within the clerk's office. She has done a remarkable job of understanding of what we do and taken a heavy lift off my shoulders. So I very much appreciate that. I think the other department heads will speak very highly of the people they hired as well. So, okay. I'll click the buttons.
Okay.
Shabbat.
So just, I know everybody's seen this and heard this before, some more than others, but I always like to come back and just give a recap of some of the terms that we throw about, because when we're talking about this stuff, it's just kind of, just rolls off the tongue, but it's, it is new terminology sometimes. So real quick, just when we talk about, we'll talk about scale compression. That's the spread between, you've got a horizontal, vertical, the spread between your minimum and your maximum and your grades, going from 1 all the way up. Typical salary schedule design has a spread of 40%. So from the difference between the minimum up to your maximum is 40%. When we talk about comp ratio, that's how an employee's salary compares to the market. Okay? So if you take the employee's salary, divide it by what the market is, that will give you the comp ratio number. The lower that number is, so if you're in the 85, 86, 87%, the farther you are away from market. Obviously, if you're at market exactly, that's going to be a 1 or 100%. And then if you're up above that, then you're into the 103, 104, 105 percentage. Market adjustments, when we talk about that, that's really an adjustment to wages based on the market. It's the cost of labor. Okay, there's no outside forces. It's just whatever it costs to pay an employee to do this, whatever the job is. And then the final one we have is COLA, cost of living, which takes into account the other external forces that are at play. Housing, fuel, food, energy, childcare, all that kind of stuff. And cost of living adjustments are used to counter-effect inflation. Just a quick history lesson. If you don't recall, in 2016, we adopted the comp ratio structure. The goal was to have a scale that had internal equity and external equity. So we could compare what a treasurer makes against another city treasurer in a different area, part of the state. And when we talk about internal equity, that means that each progression, each grade is going to hold a similar difference. Okay, so when you go from between a 1 and a 7, there's 5% difference. 8s to 11s, 6%, and then 11s up, there's a 10% difference between those grades. And then the reasons we wanted to get employees to market, we had we had a lot of employees that were not at market. They were stuck. If you have a grade and a step scale, sometimes it's easy to give those steps based on merit, right? So, I really like Paula. She's my buddy, so she's going to get 2 steps this year. I can't stand Tiff. She's only going to get 1 step this year. That's not true, but
You're going to give her a step?
The other thing to keep in mind on the comp ratio scale and getting to market is retention, and then we aggressively saw a lot of turnover prior to taking on the comp ratio scale, and specifically saw it heavily within our law enforcement. And so we aggressively looked at how to incentivize to be competitive, because we are constantly a training ground, as we've spoke before. And still in other areas we're seeing it more so now than, say, law enforcement. But we wanted to make sure we could to value the entry-level employee just as much as the seasoned veteran employee. And so that is why the comp ratio and getting people to market is very much a focus within what we do.
So our areas of focus for this year, we want to stretch the scale horizontally. 5 years ago, with the mayor and this council approved that instead of doing it all at once, which is a big chunk. We were at 20%, so if we wanted to stretch it out 20%, that's a lot. We broke it up into smaller bites. So this is our 5th year of increasing that spread by 4%, and that's the big goal for this year. Stretch the scale vertically. We want to make sure that we have enough room to get employees who want to promote up. It's hard to get employees that want to promote up when they're going to take on extra responsibility. They're going to supervise people. They're going to have these extra responsibilities, and they're getting a grade, 1 grade extra.
And to just bounce off that, some of those supervisory level positions, they become an exempt status. So when you become an exempt status, it doesn't matter what you work. There's no additional overtime or comp time accrued by them. So we've seen in some positions, some people are getting quite a bit of comp time or potentially overtime within a role, and they're content with that rather than promoting to that next level, because quintessentially, they're going to lose money, right? And so that we need to kind of stretch that, and we've recognized that over the last couple of years, and we've had to dive into some job specs to really narrow it in to increase that vertical stretch to encourage people to want. We're training you and we're investing in you today. We want you to promote for tomorrow, right? And so we have to recognize that and provide that stretch.
And then the final focus for this year was raising the salary floor. So previously we had, the lowest was a grade 3. We had employees at the library that were grade 3s, the animal shelter grade 4, recreation department grade 4. It started at like $14, $15 an hour, which we didn't think was enough for our employees. So we wanted to get them up a little bit, just to that grade 5 to get them started at a good wage.
Any questions so far?
With the floor increase, then effectively everybody above them will increase equally?
No. So what we did was we added a grade at the very top to push some up a little bit, but we've moved the ones that were at the very bottom to the 5, and then we've kind of moved some up, but everybody was not moved up at the same.
Doesn't that go towards compression that you talked about earlier? When you move some at the bottom and not the others like in the middle?
We have. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, with moving the top of the scale, where we had the log jam, there was kind of a log jam around 15, 16. So if we can move that up a little bit, it frees up some room and allows those people that want to move up into the, you can go from a 5 to an 8 or 9, and then you can go from a 9 to a 12, 13, and you go from a 13 up into those 16, 17s.
I don't have that paperwork here, but isn't like the 16 and 17s the department heads? The top of the top?
Correct, yeah.
And the log jam sat between exempt status at about the 12 range. Between 12 and 15 is where the log jam stood between two different types of positions and jumping to an exempt status.
Can you give me an example of a 12?
An example would be a police sergeant to a police lieutenant.
Okay.
Would be a prime example. And we don't have very many applicants that want to be a police lieutenant in our force, because a sergeant gets a good amount of overtime.
In the training ground, expand on it, the training ground scenario we were talking about, what is it, about $35,000 to train when you go through post, all that? So we would get them here, get them hired, and then they'd go. And so the taxpayer would pay minimum $35,000-ish, right? Ty?
Yes.
Yeah. And then we lose out on that. So to keep them here, we did the retention bonus, not bonus, can't call it bonus, it was called incentive. And then if we got you to, we believe if we get you here for about 5 years, so we did an incentive every year here, you'd hopefully fall in love with the community, buy a house, and then you'd be well within starting to
So basically the jam doesn't impact the bottom, because we're basically saying the grade level 3 people now meet the same responsibility and job fields as a grade 5 of who was within the 5 realm prior. We're saying the library aide, the rec specialist, they're in that same responsibility realm as a 5, and so they're just going to move up to that 5.
And the person that's been working for, I'm just kind of guessing, like 2 or 3 years, and now they're at a grade 6 when they started at a grade 3. Now they're kind of making the same pay as an entry level person.
So it's all percentage based. So like ultimately when you make grade changes, we calculate it off of percentage increases. So it's calculated, you could see a 6% increase moving a grade.
And then the comp ratio will help get them faster to market.
And a grade 6 essentially, so for instance, if a grade 6 today was making however many dollars, their percentage is based off that dollar wage. Versus us moving that grade 3 now to a grade 5, their dollar amount may be less, so that percentage, typically because they're further from market, is going to be higher, that percentage, but they shouldn't catch this person. The only way they're going to catch people who have sat in the same position long enough is if you just chose not to promote internal. Like if you just wrote out a whole grade. But as I kind of explained to Councilman Harjo earlier, as you make these shifts to your market, that moves your whole scale. And so as you shuffle your scale, the people who were, for instance, 1% to market, now they may be a little bit further away from market. So you're kind of constantly playing that little game, right? Does that kind of make sense?
I may follow up later.
Yeah, absolutely. We're, like Daniel said, like we're probably speaking gibberish because it comes so firsthand to us every day. We're dealing with it, but
Thank you.
please follow up with more questions.
So these are the recommendations that we came up with for fiscal year 26. Continue with the, like we said, with the scale compression. Like I said, we've got that. We finally got that out. We've stretched it out. I calculated it. It's 40.8%. So, like, I'm really happy that we've got that fixed, and we have room for employees to stay here. If you get hired on as a 7, you stay here as a 7. You've got, those 40 percentage points if you stay with the city, and you can move up or whatever. But with your guys' blessing, 5 years ago when we started this, like, this makes me happy. Like, this is something that I know Tiffany and Paula, we've all worked hard to be able to make this happen, and that's something. If I walked away tomorrow, I would be proud of that. So thank you all for allowing us to get that to where it is. Well, we need 5% more, so I guess we're not there yet, but that's what I'm asking. That's what we're asking for. The comp ratio, there's no change in the comp ratio chart. There's one small change. The only change we made is from the tier, the 95 to 99.9% tier. So if you're in that threshold, so you're close to market, but you're not quite there. Last year we were at 1.75% for the increase. This year we just bumped it up to 2% to try to get it to that market. So that was the only change there. Market adjustment. This is something that we've talked about in the past. Error. That's a typo on my fault. I apologize. That should be 26. When we've talked about things in the past where we said, a competitive market rate is plus or minus 5%. I know we've mentioned that in the past. We're there, we compared this year, we compared to Jerome, Hayden, Chubbuck, Burley, Twin Falls. We're right at that 5% plus or minus. Technically, it's a competitive wage where we're at, being that minus 5%. We just suggest a 2.5% increase to keep us from falling behind again. I would hate, we've worked hard to finally get up to this point. I would just hate for it to fall back again next year. So that was the 2.5% for the market adjustment. Cost of living, this year the Social Security Administration did a 2.5% increase in January. Inflation is up a little bit. The CPI was 2.4% ending in May. And so just to keep up with the cost of living, we suggest a 2.5% for the cost of living. So this is the chart itself.
This is the 2% he was chatting about right here.
Yeah, last year that was 1.75%. So you can see on the left here we have the grades. We've added one grade at the top. We want to bump everybody. We would like to move everybody to a minimum, to start everybody at a grade 5. So the minimum would be 1854. And then on the right, we have the comp ratio scale. The top one is for, well, the bottom one is for grade 11 law enforcement police officers.
And them only.
And them only, not 12 corporals, not anything else. We still...
Everybody else falls within the top. So the only one that falls in this bottom bracket right here in the comp ratio calculation is your grade 11 patrol officers. Everybody else within the city falls within this one. Do you have any more to say about that?
No. Does anybody have any questions on the chart, the scale?
So go ahead.
Sorry.
Your wrap up, my wrap
So
up.
I'll wrap it up. Like I said, we always tell the employees that they're our greatest asset. They're the ones that make the city run. They make it, the awesome place to live that it is. So I, humbly ask you to approve these changes because we think they're worth it. So, and we think it's fair.
Any questions for the team there? Okay. Go on to the next. Next, Daniel.
All right. The next is, I'd like to say thanks on the salary side. I think it's important. So, right now the benefits we don't see any fluctuation in the benefits. Last year, with you guys allocating the additional funds, that $1,000 to their health benefit, we saw a lot of happy smiles. And to be honest, I sat in Daniel's space when we didn't give out any raises to anybody, and it was a frozen environment, and you saw some grumpy people, and some of those people still work for the city today. And to hand them a payroll change and watch them do backflips walking out of this place is pretty remarkable because they're being valued and recognized for the work they do. And I can't say it enough. We come to work to be a public servant. Everybody here, I fully believe, is here to make Mountain home the best community in the state of Idaho. And I would stand with every one of them in the trenches and work side by side. And that doesn't go unrecognized, from animal control to the library to the staff here at City Hall. Like, they're all outstanding. So thank you for your support. So the next one is city admin. So you guys want to dive into that and ask me your questions? I've left blanks. That's up to you guys to decide. Civic groups will not come back. Tomorrow, military affairs, I sent an email yesterday. Military Affairs Committee will come back. We've asked them to come tomorrow about 3:30, 4 o'clock to just kind of dialogue their thoughts regarding that potential agreement that's proposed out there. But the fund amount is up to you guys, ultimately, so. I stand for any questions if there are any.
Tiff, I have one that's really ties back to salary, but as well in looking at like the fringe portion here. I remember you guys mentioned to us that the health insurance plan for employers was the plan that is currently chosen was sunsetting at the end of this current term. Is that factored for in here, and what potential increase might be in cost?
Yeah, so we could speak a little bit on that. So the ANOVA plan is no longer going to be recognized through regions. Blue Shield. So we've been extended to October of '26, and we will be able to stay within that plan. And so this next budget cycle, we will actively really pursue. That doesn't mean we leave Regents. That doesn't mean that you know, the pot's endless at this point. We're shopping health insurance. To be honest, we could have done it this year, but quite frankly, shifting 120-ish people's insurance is not fun. And we had a choice to end it in January. Wasn't that one of the proposals? Was to end it in January, which is what Regents really want us to do. But then we have this deductible, wonky mid-year mess. And so we asked to go to September 30. And so that's where we're sitting today. So,
September 30, 2026 is no more grandpa. They're not grandfathering anything else. So.
Right, and we've really, with our broker, kind of honed in. Like we've reached out to our employees, like, hey, what are some of the needs in this change? What, and a lot of it is pharmaceutical because the Innova plan is pretty rich in coverage of pharmaceutical. So we'll see some adjustments there. So what was the other one? Specialty clinic services, and what was that one, Mary?
Buyback.
And well, we'll still offer the FSA and the HRA programs. They're separate than that, but yeah, those are the biggest voices we've heard in sort of the package deal of what employees are speaking about. So
We were, sorry, Council, we were talking to Ally, and some of the plans she was giving us, it seemed like they were less than the Nova plan. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get same coverage for less cost that we can allocate to maybe employee, family, and things of that nature, out of that 1,000.
Yeah, I mean, that was my concern, is like, how do we ensure that rich benefit stays a rich benefit?
Some of our big focuses, we have a great trend and a history with Regents. We actually saw a decrease 2 years ago. We didn't see an increase last year. So that shows you we had some pretty hefty claims. But that being said, if we jump to another provider, that doesn't mean that we don't see an increase rapidly in the first year. So that's things we are battling. The other thing we are, kind of battle's not right. The other things that we're really considering is forcing our employees to, like, I'm going to say select health because everyone understands that in the room. But we don't want to force you to have to just go to St. Luke's necessarily, because some people in our current existing plan have a physician at St. Luke's, have a physician at St. Al's, have a physician at some other special clinic in the world. And so we want you to be able to continue that rather than forcing you to change your provider, because some people just don't like to change their provider, frankly. So those are all the things we're trying to kind of mold over and listen to and make the best sound to present to you guys.
I'm glad you have some time to
Yeah,
negotiate.
so are we. Daniel really was excited.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Harjo, do you have any information about that legislation last year? Did it pass where cities can jump onto like a state plan or something?
Ooh, I don't recall that one passed. I remember eyeballing it. I can do some digging in it.
We've been heavily sought after what is that?
Triple IA.
Yeah, because we're on and that's a state, a large pool through counties and municipalities. So, but they were established in 2010 or 11. But we're like the large group that would jump into that. Like we have so many employees, they want you in, because most of them that are in there are much smaller than us.
Maybe one of the last things really quick too is I've been having Tiff and Daniel and Paula look into, let's say you have and I'm going to use you, is that okay?
I actually love being the center of attention, Mayor.
Today?
Today I have friends.
So you say,
In
let's say
department
you
head
take a
meeting?
Paula,
No, it's just fine.
husband's retired military, and we pay $1,000 per employee for their health benefits. So maybe, but they don't need the benefit. So maybe to save some tax dollars, maybe we say, hey, here's $500 to put in your 401k or your Percy or whatever. We keep the 500 and offset that because she doesn't need the health benefit. But right now we mandate all employees to be a part of the health benefit because it puts us in a the better pool, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know what I mean, the better pool for a better discount is, because we have a lot of young, healthy, seasoned veterans and all that are, you know, so that was kind of the thing that we're trying to talk about is also, I don't need the benefit, but I would like, if I'm gonna get a benefit, to like maybe put it in my 401k, and then I'll go to my other one and save the taxpayer a little bit of dollars. So we're looking into that program as well. All right, I'll shut it down. Go ahead, Tim.
Are there any other questions about the admin budget?
Regarding the admin budget, attorney's fees was going to be my question. Do we have any idea if we're on par, tracking higher, lower in terms of like utilization?
I could tell you large now. Attorney fees. We have about $56,000 left in this year's budget. And we were at 125 last year.
We can use that up.
Oh, I guarantee you're going to use it. I'll probably write a memo because it'll be negative before long. With that. And just to be honest, the admin budget absorbs all of it besides land use. So, and some of the land use stuff in recent has come into the admin one. So do realize that that's all of the city into one. Like it's not divided out into PD or different things like that. Like that's everybody.
Paula, is the opioid remediation a pass-through line?
And we moved it into the admin so that we could administrate it with our grant administrator. Less so, we took it away from it wasn't the PD budget, so we just moved it from there over here. We originally thought that it would fit better with them because I didn't want to learn how to spell opioids, but now I know, so we decided to move it to ours.
Well, originally we thought we'd be able to get the PD would be able to use it for equipment and different types of things within the community. Well, those items already come free, so then it is back to another avenue of what we can use those funds for.
So, going back to that attorney's fees line, we're comfortable with 1.5.
I am comfortable with 125, but that's up to you guys to decide. And I don't know if if MSBT law will propose an increase. He has done that in the years past. As we start into September and October, he sends over a memo that he hasn't adjusted fees in a while and changes them. So
Is that one that we should dog ear the page and discuss, do you think, in terms of maybe projecting a higher?
for sure, I'll highlight it and then make a note to it. Do you have an idea of what you'd like to see it possibly increase to? Just like a trend?
Looking at the trend of where it stands, I don't honestly know that gives us much data to go on. I think the utilization for this last year is probably a very short sample size, but if you project getting the council a memo that line gets overdrawn by the end of this fiscal year, I question if we should bump that for next year.
To me, I don't imagine it going over 130 if it were to go over. I think we're going to get it down to pennies or very little. And to be honest, that doesn't mean that it can't be offset by a potential other line that doesn't get expended, right?
And if staff, mayor, council, if you're comfortable with leaving it as is, then making an appropriate shift if necessary later.
We also have professional services, so we're here 4,100.
Okay, thank you.
administration? Are you guys good with that?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
On the IT contract, are we still, with our IT guy, we're still needing that 50?
Yeah, so the IT contract, we've used some of that in some software purchases recently, too, but if, for instance, Brandon or Randy are gone, we pay Allied hourly for any services called in, and that's kind of like last minute emergency, so that really is just kind of a buffer line if, say, I don't know, they're unavailable and SCADA goes down on a Saturday, we're gonna call Allied then to come in and figure out and troubleshoot what's going on. Best answer, Brandon, is that good? You good with that? You have more to add?
We might need to touch base with Allied on that. I'm not 100% sure that that's still, if how much of our stuff they still have or if they're up to date. But I would imagine that we'd be able to give them a call back.
So maybe we make a note of that. I guess I understood that we were trying to decrease that line each year because it was at 100. Now we've got it down by hiring the IT.
Okay.
And so I just curious about that.
Yeah. And again, I have no problem decreasing the line. I will tell you, the world of IT is expensive.
Yeah, I mean,
And
we have something serious happen.
yeah,
Yes.
and whether that, if I reduce that line, like we can get the numbers with Allied on what that is, and it would be hourly. And thus far, since hiring Brandon, how many, we called Allied once, maybe twice, if that. I think we called him one time, and it was when we didn't have Randy.
Yeah, since we've had Randy, we haven't had any incident that has not been responded to by one of us
Yeah.
within an appropriate time frame. At the current moment in time, Randy and I are both pretty good about making sure that there's a phone on us, and like the relevant department heads, some department heads have my personal number so they can reach me even if my work phone is away or things like that. So I'm not really concerned about having to reach Allied unless, like, you know, something crazy happened.
So I guess my point is on that too, is just trying to think forward. If there was some sort of catastrophe, I don't know, we get hacked or whatever, I mean, we have contingency money, right? And I think that would definitely be considered a good use of contingency money if we needed that. So I don't know if there was some wiggle room in that,
So
Yeah.
could we cut it?
because we didn't use a lot of it.
No, and we certainly can cut it. I would just encourage that it gets moved to some of their software lines, because admin, it does absorb quite a bit of the citywide.
So would you feel comfortable at 25,000 and then putting that towards a different software line?
Yeah, I think, well, let Brandon and I do some calling tomorrow
Okay.
with Allied, and then I could report back. I definitely think we could cut it, and we easily probably cut it to 20, I would think. That's just ballparking it at least, but I know Brandon could easily spend 25 on some of their software out there. So
The new software for in here?
yeah, exactly, so, but.
That was one in here, council, I forgot to bring up. So we're looking at new software, TV, like right there, so the citizens can see what's being presented, get those all hooked up, and then new software where it configures everything to each, like this one's mine, you would have yours, because what we had with the, what was the, I can't, you know what I'm talking about. It was hard to figure out who, like when they're
Oh,
trying
the
to transcript
transcription.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, our recording system is very outdated, and so like our mics don't pick up. They're not assigned to a person, so we don't know who speaks. I know who your voice is, and I know your voice, but
We have we got a couple of quotes, and they're anywhere from 60,000 to 100,000.
yeah.
They're not cheap. What was the, am I off amount on that?
So the exact numbers that I got, if I remember correctly, these were like a few months ago that I got these quotes. Somewhere between 30 on the low end, and 30 was reusing a lot of the current equipment we have in here that is lower end equipment, to, I want to say 80, On the high end, of course, all of that was just the at the moment price, not the prices that we would pay next year. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with tariffs, hardware pricing increases, stuff like that. No one will commit to any sort of like long-term quote or anything along those lines. So we've got numbers to go off of, and then there's going to be some decisions to be made on exactly how we want to approach the council chambers, because with the fact that we need to record everything and stream everything, our current setup hasn't been ideal for that.
City of Chubbuck just redid their entire council chambers with new audio, visual, and recording system. It was over $100,000, the entire system.
So I think we put in 60, right?
I have 60 in it, yeah.
So I guess if we come back to you guys with the IT stuff and we cut the 50,000, would you feel comfortable putting that in contingency or put it into the council new automation system? Yeah. Okay.
Well, and I mean, the request was pretty clear that Tiff just made. She would like to keep it for sure in some sort of IT area, like not moving it. I mean, moving it to contingency makes it a little bit harder for you guys to spend it.
Yeah, so a shift to an appropriate line, if that can be reduced,
Okay.
just because we're not relying on it very often.
Okay. Thank you. We'll bring back information tomorrow on it.
Can you guys talk to me about the Juniper core switch, what that purpose is?
Yeah. So essentially, we have right now all of our buildings are connected by fiber. So we only pay for one internet connection. Well, aside from the library, we pay for one internet connection, and it services the entire city. All of that information goes through a network switch, and that switch handles expanding out the one connection to all of our connections. That's SCADA sites, that is City Hall, that is the police department, everything. So right now we have, I don't want to say the cheapest switch that money can buy in there that's handling all of our, like it's one of the most mission critical pieces of equipment we've got. It's not the cheapest that money can buy, but it's pretty close. And it doesn't interact very well if we want to do more advanced security things and make our network harder to penetrate, more secure, more controlled, just more manageable. So the idea behind it is we get off of having a bunch of different hardware vendors that I may not be familiar with or Randy may not be familiar with, and we just are on one vendor, and that requires getting high quality equipment into the places that need it, because right now we have that one switch, and if it goes down, all of the city is down. And like the switch, the core switch that we're talking about getting has two power supplies. So if one of the power supplies fail, then the switch still goes. But our current switch, if the power supply fails, it's dead. And it doesn't have any support on it, so if the switch fails, we have to figure out a solution. And we don't have any guaranteed time frame on when that would happen. Whereas with a new switch, we'd have a like 4-hour, 1-day response time by the vendor. I can't remember exactly what we put in there. So we'd have guaranteed response time versus maybe we'll get it shipped quickly. We'll see. Yeah, and it's specifically for enterprise equipment, which we've been using more homegrown stuff, and I think that we need to switch in order to act like a larger enterprise.
Okay. Alright, it's an expensive switch. How old is the current switch that we have?
I couldn't say. When was the fiber hut put together?
It's probably hand-me-down then.
Yeah, it was a hand-me-down from,
It's 20,
Entry point.
yeah.
probably 2018, 2019.
And then the
Yeah, so in the current fiscal year, we had a replacement, to potentially upgrade the mayor's vehicle and then put the mayor's vehicle into fleet, but, it actually is, like, we can't find anything in a lease purchase in that realm, so. Yeah,
It's fine.
and, the other part behind it is IT guys, until we recently got the old Suburban from the fire department, the IT guys were working on their personal vehicles, so that was the intention, was kind of to upgrade the mayor's car and then go with the IT vehicle for, because we have 2 employees in IT and they're going around the community. So it would be ultimately to either buy the IT guys another vehicle to work in along with the Suburban, or upgrade the mayor and hand them the Impala, but that's the intention.
But I'm fine. Good, don't need nothing.
So be it IT vehicle then?
Yep.
Yep.
On line 9800, so in the definition there, it says increase for sales tax collected and submitted to the state 3,000, but it goes up 5,000.
It's just a typo.
Oh, so
Probably a review of how much sales tax we're collecting since it's just a typo. So that's like tax collected at the golf course library, right? And then we have to submit it to the state.
And then before we move on to sanitation, we do need to cover the civic groups, line item by line item there.
That's what I was gonna ask. We have to do 6110. We need to do several of those. I don't think there's any on the first page, but.
Oh, the golf rounds, yeah.
Yeah, starting at 6110.
Yeah.
So 6110 was just a tool so that the council would know how many golf rounds have been donated. They just wanted to know when the donations were coming in. And we also have to take, like if a golf round's donated, you have to track the sales tax. So sales tax and golf round both come out of that line.
But they wanted, and correct me if I'm wrong, Council, you wanted that one golf pass for the women's in there too.
So be added
Right.
to that.
When the passes already.
Right.
So I guess the question is, are you good with the 1675?
Might as well just leave it for now.
Yeah, it's never gotten close.
Yeah.
It's just like how much do we donate to?
Okay.
Did you want it, so we're gonna, just to put it in there for tracking purposes, the woman's pass, you wanna add that?
Well, sales tax on it's not going to be close to that.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
Okay.
We haven't had as many requests this year as we previously had, and I think the 1675 is gonna be fine.
Yeah, I have a balance on my spreadsheet of $1,100 still left to donate, 1157.
Was that including the ladies'
That
pass?
does not include the pass.
The ladies' pass is
So
700.
So
Okay.
it'd be about 800. About $500.
and then it's still no 9001.
Okay, let's bring back that one tomorrow,
Okay.
and let's go to the,
9010.
yes.
And the only one that's not, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, 9030. That was the one, they asked for more than that, didn't they? 44,000. Yeah, okay, thank you, that's right. And the rest are what they asked for. Well, so the senior center, so when they did their brief to us on June 24th, this budget presentation, it's titled Senior Center / Meals on Wheels, but on our budget, they're 2 separate line items.
Yes.
So, and guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wrote down 9,000 is what they were asking for. Is that what you guys copied from that meeting?
I
I'm
think
looking.
also what's it called? Visitor center request more?
Yes, they did. Yeah, the
Okay.
visitor center requested 8,000.
Yeah, I thought they had
Yeah.
entered.
But I have 9,000 written here, and I just wanted to make sure that's what I heard right. And so would we put that together as one line item instead of having two separate line items?
It would be, if they want 9,000 each.
Each
Oh,
one.
they want 9,000 each, okay. And then, can you explain the civic support, 90, 4,000?
Yeah, the civic support is community type of events, like senior celebration. We give money to that.
So there's no civic group that comes and speaks
No.
on that, that's, okay.
No, it's,
No,
So
it's
that's
just-
standing at 4,000? I mean, that's what
Yeah,
you guys asked for.
I think Councilman Brennan asked me yesterday, and I told him we had $3,500 left, and it still is
Oh, wow.
today.
So we could potentially roll that over.
I would prefer you not to, because we do get approached by like the graduating seniors, and we give them money for their celebration. We've been approached by like the football team, and I know we've paid for them to have a dinner or hosted a dinner. A lot of the times we try our best to just put the funds to whatever benefits in the youth portion of it, the youth. Don't go buy a banner for us, don't spend the funds in that sense. Just spend it towards whatever the student or the individual could use it for.
During COVID, we did a tent for them because they had to do it outside. We rented a Tate's Rents tent or something, so they could have a prom. They didn't have the funds for a prom.
Okay, so here's my suggestion. All right, for these civic groups, let's put public transit aside because that's a big chunk of money. But for these $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 requests, what about the idea is we will pay that up to that amount if they can match it. And reason being is because when we have like the streetwalkers that come and collect funds for fireworks throughout the community, they're working their tails off to get donations, right? And so instead of just getting money to an organization, because here's the other thought too, is anyone could just raise their hand and say, hey, I want to be part of this, right? I want to be part of this civic group. I think there has been a group or two that's been out there in the community that said that they want to try to figure out how they can get on this. So instead of just giving them the funds, if they can meet that or match that amount up to that 7,000, 8,000, 9,000, whatever they're asking, then we can give it to them
How do they match it?
for fundraising.
I mean, they have to
They
do
have
their
to do the
fundraising.
fundraising.
They can't
They-
just
so
say we
there's
have.
fundraising.
So they have to do work on top of just getting
I believe they already do that.
prove it.
It's
Sorry,
also
say,
going to be very
do all of them, has all of them prove that they?
hard to quantify when it comes to like the senior center, for instance, because they do fundraising,
They've
they
never
do
should've.
seek funding from a multitude of other entities. Does that then qualify as the match?
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
Like that's the point in which I think every one of these, the Arts Council does the same thing, Domestic Violence Council does their events to fundraise.
So that's great.
They're basically meeting that requirement, but not requirement, but they're meeting that through their own operations already.
And I'm just saying to prove it, right? So yes, we get the budget lines of what they use it for and everything. But that's just my request. It doesn't sound like it's gonna go anywhere. I just feel like instead of
I've
just
gotten a
giving
lot of
money
the
out,
same
the
advice.
taxpayers' money out, if they can be like, okay, this is what we have matched up into for our own efforts.
The majority of these presenters brought us their financials to show that they are generating funds
Not all of them
in
did.
their ways.
Right.
Not all did. but
Right.
We also didn't require that or request that of them.
And
But
that-
in the sense that they did present that, it is essentially already there.
Right, and so it's the same thing with the concept of, like, when we brought up that women's group for the golf, it's just like, oh, that's a one-off. Well, now we're correcting that, it's not a one-off anymore, it's gonna be documented. And so that's why I feel like with this as well, is if, you're right, some of them are really good, like the Arts Council, amazing, right? I really appreciate them coming with a budget like that. But others, it's groups just present this is what we've done. And still to this day, I don't even have the public transit numbers. She said she sent them to you guys, and I still don't have them. So, or wait, did we get them? Did we get those?
I don't think we did, because we remember she's gonna go back and
Is this
send
it?
it to us.
She dropped.
Oh, brought this later. Okay, I will retract on that. So, to prove their budget to us. If they have fundraised up to that amount, then we will match that amount.
To the certain dollar that we.
To the certain dollar that's, being requested.
So are you guys wanting to go all the numbers that they've asked for, or are you gonna keep it at the same, numbers? Cause,
So these are placeholders, right?
Yeah.
We can put these numbers in, and then if they can prove that they have fundraised up to the, let's say, senior center, Meals on Wheels, it's
Just put the numbers
18,000
in.
together.
No,
then-
you're not just gonna put numbers in. Like, so whatever
No,
number
no,
you're gonna put in is
she's
gonna
saying-
balance.
if we put 7,000 in there, that they gotta match that 7.
Oh, okay. I didn't, okay. I
So
didn't-
maybe I can
Sorry,
help.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe I can simplify it. So and you'll need to tell me what numbers you want in there. But before when they send their request, that will come to the council like, hey, the Meals on Wheels and I've requested my 7,000. We can put that on the agenda and say, hey, you need to come and present to the council your request instead of us just automatically sending the check out. And at that point, you can ask them your questions. Would that work? Like, you've been awarded the 7, but you need to come in and present to the council in order to actually receive
Show
the
your
money.
match.
donation.
Yeah. to show
I mean,
your-
yeah, that works, but I would also like to set forth the precedence of this coming year that would be I guess the cart before the horse right now because they already did the presentations, but this is why we're talking about the
No,
budget as a
they would
group.
do a second one. So
Okay,
we have the 7,000, we send them, you're gonna receive your 7,000. However, before you do your request to the council, you'll need to come in, it'll be on the council agenda for you to do a presentation to request that 7,000. Or a letter, something, that's what we're asking for the Women's Golfing Association. Like, we want some type of formal request.
exactly.
So it's,
Yeah, so to piggyback off that, the example of what happens now is October 1st hits, and the Arts Council is probably the one that's on top of the bill.
sure.
They're gonna email Paula and I and say, hey, we're ready for our funds. And then we process those funds through the bills, and you guys approve them in your meeting, and then we issue them a check. That's how it works. You have some of them who have still yet to ask for their funds, right? So similar to what Paula's saying is, whatever you decide is the budget number, we're going to tell them, you better come with a budget showing that you've reached whatever your requested allocation is. The max is 7,000. I'm just picking a number. And you'll have to sit before the city council and explain to them your request, and then you can approve it that night, if that's how you want to do it.
And in addition to
Well, we'll give them some guidelines.
Sure.
Like when
yeah.
they do the request, we'll say, hey, these are the guidelines the
Yeah.
council's requesting.
Right, and like what Councilman Harjo says, I believe that. I believe what you say, that yes, people are already doing their own fundraising. I just want more transparency of like what. And like you said, some are really great at it, and then some are just like, this is what we've done, but there's no numbers in front of us, right?
I don't think it'll be difficult for them because I agree that they are all out there doing their own fundraising. So I don't think it'll just be a change on how it is currently being
I
done.
also would make a suggestion, if you're curious on how they're trying to support their businesses, go talk to them. Because I know a lot of these companies or these businesses would be happy to sit down and talk to you and tell you what their efforts are, so that way you get a warm fuzzy feeling that they're trying to make their own money too, and not just ask for money with the city, so.
So are you implying I don't talk to these groups?
No.
Okay, because I haven't. All right.
Council, and then
I was saying a suggestion.
do you guys wanna leave those the same dollar amounts? Do you wanna hire them, lower them? Cause I know some of them ask for more, some of them ask for the same. What do you wanna do with those numbers? So we can plug those into the budget.
I'm okay with the numbers.
There's some I'd be okay reducing.
Speak up.
Which ones?
It's not gonna work. I think some of them they provide a greater benefit to more people than others. And I don't necessarily think it's in the 7th or 8th time I've said this, but I don't think the cities need to be just dishing out money to nonprofits because they're asking for it. That's our taxpayer dollars that should go to everybody. And I understand there's an argument that these could potentially benefit everybody, but I think that's in the city's best interest.
All right, council, which ones do you want? So council, if you were, like you said, this is up to you guys. Which ones are you thinking? Do you want to leave it the same? Do you want to change some? Do you want to, like I said, some ask for more? Do you want to keep it, like I said, the same? Or what do you guys want to do?
Let's just start at the top. How about
There you go. Start at the top.
civic support? You're good with the 4,000.
Absolutely.
And you only.
I know, I wrote it in red already.
$500 last year, you said?
Right now, I only use $500.
Or this year?
I'm pretty sure. Is that what I told you, Councilman Brennan?
What?
Is that what I told you yesterday?
I was tuned out for a second. Say that again.
The civic support, she said, did she tell you she only had used 500
Yeah.
so far?
Yeah, right now, out of the 4,000, there's $3,500 left.
Is there a line specific to mayor donations? Or is that
No.
like you make money, you turn weddings? I don't know what it is. Okay. So that kind of would come out of that one.
I guess I understand. My donation?
Yeah.
I don't have a donation line.
No, it is,
No.
no.
Okay. Right.
All right, next. So everyone was good with the 4,000?
Going once?
Oh, gavel.
So, okay. Arts Council.
Arts Council is requested 7, or historically received 7.
I think that was their ask this time, was to remain at 7.
It was.
Okay.
So
Good with that one?
7,
Okay.
with some guidelines in place. When they request it, we'll say, hey, these are the asks.
I do believe you need to address that in the agreement between all the agencies, though.
Right.
So when those come before you, you need to make sure that that language is included in there.
Elmore County Domestic Violence. I don't remember what they were asked for. I'm just assuming it was 7 again.
I don't know, they had none.
They had 9.
I wrote it down, I took it home.
I mean, yeah.
I have it written here, it's 7.
Okay, good. So you guys was good with 7? This is from 5 to 7, right? From the year prior to 7? Memory serves me correct?
22,
No.
23.
23, 23, yeah, that's right.
7.
Mayor, of these organizations, which of them are operating out of city-owned buildings?
Museum,
Museum.
visitor center.
Visitor Center.
Okay. And so the
We own the
museum has a
prop-
whole, the museum has a whole nother, I guess both of them have a whole nother line for supporting that facility, right?
So, domestic violence, you guys good with 7? Okay. Museum? 7?
4,000.
4,000?
Sorry.
No, you're fine. Councilman Berman, can you explain your justification on that question on why you're saying they're city buildings? It's like
We-
all over.
We own the building.
No, I know, but where his thought is going
Oh.
towards that, when he's making his decision.
Oh.
I'm really just painting a picture that they're getting a lot more money than 7. And I understand, it's our building, we gotta keep it up, but look, I don't know, like, does the city need to operate a museum about ourselves? Is that a typical thing? We're not the operators of it, but we're donating a large chunk of money for something that is our building.
I'll agree to go down to 4,000.
I think a majority of cities that I've resided in have some sort of functional museum factor, whether that's just regional or the city itself. That is city funded in that sense, because it is a matter of historical societies, your local preservation, those kind of things. That is fairly commonplace here.
Mayor.
Good.
A
This
lot-
is open.
Absolutely. Museums and senior centers, a lot of the times are wrapped up within your recreation and parks departments. Senior centers specifically, and that's throughout the state of Idaho. That you'll find a senior center actually funded through your rec department.
But the seniors that own their own buildings on city property.
Correct, I was gonna say that earlier, but, so, it's not uncommon practice that those are happening, and I would keep in mind that specifically the museum, that's a historical building, and one of the only ones that's recognized in our community.
It's actually the old Carnegie Library
It's an
building.
old library. And so, to keep that upkeep, it's kind of spendy.
Yeah, I'm not gonna discount
So-
the building upkeep line.
So council, I've got, and I'm just throwing this out here, I got 2 that want to throw it to 4. How does the other council feel?
I'd like to keep this up.
Same.
We also donated above and beyond last year with their computer request. That didn't come out of that line, right?
It came out of their maintenance.
It came out of maintenance.
It came out of their building maintenance
I'm
line.
sorry, budget.
It's already an allocated line.
So I got 2 7s and 2 4s.
Brandon, are you doing their IT over there?
Not in any significant way, no. I just make sure that they have internet, and that's about it. They handle all their own email and stuff. Only other thing that we really manage is the phones go through us, but that's about it.
Okay. So you do provide some amount of service if they need it?
I provide some amount of service. If there's a physical problem with the computers, I'll go over there. If there's a problem with their internet, I'll go over there. If it's something with like their email or their website, they're on their own.
Okay. Is that the same as the visitor center?
Visitor Center, I've never been out there, don't know anything about it.
Their operation is ran through the chamber.
Chamber. What about like the senior center?
Same, don't know anything about it.
So the only one of these organizations that you would support through your job is the museum?
That's correct.
So we need that number.
2 4s and 2 7s.
Can't come from the mayor. It's gotta be the council. You guys set the budget.
I maintain that the museum is a critical factor in our community. The schools run through there. The various groups of homeschool utilize that. The fact that it's a Carnegie Library and is on a historical register, like, it is a factor that befits society.
And a lot of the people that work there are volunteers. It's not like they're paying somebody a lot of money to keep the doors open.
All right, council.
I imagine there'll be no compromise?
You know?
Okay, stalemate then.
So that is light item what?
90-25.
90-25 coming back.
Skipping public transit for tomorrow, yes? That was the request.
Military.
No,
No,
military
the
liaison.
military
Oh, I
liaison
thought
tomorrow.
public transit, because they had a big request.
And we have it.
Okay, so you just have to decide what you're giving them.
I just said, hold that one off, when I made my request, just because the other requests were between 7 and 9,000, and this was 44,000. And it's going up, let's see.
Are there any thoughts from staff on their overall operation when they talk about losing the Air Force base line? We keep hearing about trying to get a new bus.
Not really.
Yeah, no, I think it's valuable to the community. I think the ridership is needed. I guess I'm speaking for staff, sorry. But I've heard the bus thing for, I think Schroeder was sitting up there, so a decade.
Mary McNeil.
Yeah, so, you know what I mean?
Schroeder was very adamant that they do their own fundraisers, and he was, and I'm not trying to speak for him by any means, but he'd always tell them, no, I'm not funding it unless you you know, is go out and raise funds and we'll talk about it, right?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, yeah. And so, we kept it fairly low until we they got a grant, and they needed the 25 to match it to get us a bus here. And then ever since, it just never went back down to, you know what I mean? So if we're not getting a bus, I don't.
We're getting free ridership, a number of drivers through that process. Utilization by citizens that utilize it to go to medical appointments, their doctor's appointments, the store, food distribution. But it is heavily utilized. They do offer the ability for those riders to deviate from the route during certain hours or inclement weather, so they don't have to walk blocks to do that. Like, to deny that that's a public service that is necessary is a very interesting position to take.
Well, I'm not taking that position. I think it's very valuable.
I think it's highly valuable.
Is their increased request justified from their previous numbers? Especially with, if I'm reading it right, with the cut in service, the Air Force Base line.
Which I think she explained as managed internally, that the utilization of that line was not being utilized well for the ridership in the extended hours, that additional fund would get them within the limits of the city, that ridership has trended towards the more hours it's available, the higher the utilization, is how it was explained.
I have a bus stop by my house, and I see people utilizing it all the time. Yeah, all the time.
We worked earlier this year, Tiffany really spearheaded this. I had some requests come in from the folks at Desert Sage, where just by happenstance, Treasure Valley Transit wasn't exactly aware that the bus stop location needed to change from the old Desert Sage location to the new. And to hear the feedback from Rick Viola and Anna Estrella and the rest of the crew over there at Desert Sage to say, this is amazing, thank you guys for moving this. Again, thanks to Tip for spearheading that. That showed a significant value for the ridership that utilizes those services in town.
So council, are you good with the the request of 38.5? No,
No.
they wanted 44, right?
Yeah, and so I'm confused because in her letter it says, is requesting $44,000 from the state of Mountain Home to meet the local matching requirements for the operations of Mountain Home Community Transit. The $9,000 increase is to cover the additional 2 hours of service. So she says it's a $9,000 increase, but here it's not $9,000. So is that just funding that she's going to find from other sources?
I think she might have been utilizing the 23-24 budget data to reach that 9,000.
And I know that this body pays for the ridership now, over what, $3 grand?
3,500.
3,500.
It's within that number.
Yeah.
I only have a little hesitation of the increases. That's the only thing I'm hesitating on, because yes, they're going to add 2 hours of service, but they've also taken away service too. So it seems, I can't say it's an exact break even as far as personnel costs for driving the bus or gas costs or whatever, but increase the dollar amount, take away service and add a different type of service. It doesn't justify the increase. I'd request to stay with the last year's amount.
I will agree with that.
Okay.
38.5.
38.5. Okay, seniors, senior citizens. All good with the senior citizens? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Meals on Wheels? Good with that
And to be clear, it's 9,000 for senior citizen center and 9,000 for, right?
So I was going 7, I'm sorry. Did you want to do 9?
No, that's what they requested.
That was their request.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, my assumption in the past is we gave them $14,000, 7 for each program. I would assume their request is for 9,000 for each program.
Yeah.
But that's an assumption.
Right,
So
because
take it
it's
for what it
combined.
is.
Right?
Sorry, council, I was just going down with what we already have in the budget.
Otherwise, we'll give them 4,500 for each.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll be very happy.
So are we, okay, sorry, let's go back really quick. Do you want to do 9,000 or 7,000 for the senior citizen center?
I don't even know, okay. Did they, no, please guys help me here. I have 9,000 written down here. It could have been my error. Does anyone here remember what the request was? Because it could have just be 7 again. It's all mixed in with all of my public
Okay.
transit.
Can we
Move on to
put a-
visitor center and
Can
I'll
we
pull
put a
them
pin
in.
in
Okay.
that one and
Sounds good.
reach out to them for?
Yep.
I'll pull
I
mine
need to
in.
step back from the visitor center discussion. For conflict of interest, my wife is the current chair of
Chamber of Commerce.
the Chamber of Commerce, thank you. Lost the words there, and that falls under the visitor center.
Okay, and then, so we're going to put a pin in Meals on Wheels and senior citizens, get an answer from Lisa tomorrow for tomorrow's budget. Okay, and then the visitor center support, they asked for, well, I don't remember what they asked.
Sean was asking for 8,000
Okay,
and wants discounted fiber.
so what do you want to do for the visitor center?
4,000.
4?
Don't throw stones when we leave here, please. But I stand, yeah, 4,000. I'm okay with 7. So visitor center, again, I utilize all these places too, okay? I'm gonna make that clear. Homeschool my kid, we go to the museum, we go out to the visitor center, right? Again, but with the visitor center, it is businesses selling their product for profit, and then the taxpayer is paying to support that on top of that, where they don't get anything in return. I'm sorry. Correct me if I'm looking at this in a weird way, but
It's a very elementary way
then correct me. I mean,
to look at
So,
how you quantify visitation in the city of Mountain Home and what commerce has brought in.
sure.
to the
Wait,
city
hey,
of
didn't you
Mountain Home.
recuse yourself, mister?
I'm just making points, I'm not making a decision on this, but I beg you to go sit up on Highway 20 on a Friday or a Sunday and see how much commerce travels through that corridor specifically.
Yeah.
And how many visitors stop at the visitor center.
Yeah, we go to McDonald's a lot. I see it.
okay, so,
I'm gonna refresh when we're done.
okay, 2 to 1, because
We're at
conflict of
4.
interest. So are we leaving it 4?
Sounds like a winner.
All right.
Okay, wait, I need to go over them. Red pen.
The senior center requested, according to the city council minutes, $7,000.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So 7 for each.
7.
Okay, thank you for finding that out.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Okay, Paula.
Okay,
I think
so,
you got 7, 7, 38.5, 7, 7, and 4
yes, with a return of museum support
tomorrow.
tomorrow. I got and military liaison tomorrow, museum support tomorrow.
Oh, what was the Arts Council? 7?
7.
Okay.
I got 4, 7, 7, skip, 38.5, 7, turn the page, 7, and then 4.
So if we're going to reduce it, where are we gonna put it?
We'll go back to contingency.
Software.
I was just curious if there was a plan.
Okay.
Pass through this.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Are we
That
good
was
with the admin?
50,
Oh, sorry.
90, 50.
Yeah, so
Number 4. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, anything else in admin, council? Okay, sanitation. Very much a pass-through, but what do you want to do with that one?
Mayor, I think I just may have pointed out, spoke to Paula about it earlier, but appears to be a typo in line 4100.
I gave you your sheet.
Yeah. there's another one.
Good with that one?
Good with
No
sanitation?
questions?
Okay, so this is the new,
Yeah.
oh, thank you, because that was more than a 5%.
Oh, yeah, yes, I was corrected on that. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Library.
We're to library, Shasta.
Got avocado, Shasta.
How do you go by Daniel? He might.
Just wanted to say first, thank you for last year's budget. I don't know if any of you have been able to patron the library lately, but it looks so pretty outside now.
Great. That's awesome. So any questions for Shasta?
I do.
All righty.
Line, excuse me, line 5650. I just want to know why it went up from the 13,075 to the 18,000. I know it just says increase in shared costs due to administrative costs, but can you elaborate?
On the meeting, schools and news line, is that the?
5650, the consortium.
Oh, the consortium. The courier service dues, we've seen an uptick in circulation as far as borrowing from other libraries. That has been a driving force in needing to invest more in that line to cover the cost for our courier driver as well as maintenance on the vehicle that's used for that service.
I do believe that because whenever we go in there as a family and my child can't find a book, the staff is really good at saying, hey, we can find it for you from Boise or from another city, and you guys have been really good. And then you have your cart that's outside, and it shows like all the carriers, and that's always full, that cart.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Yep.
I do believe it.
Yep.
That it has increased.
Totally.
On that note, those two lines have the same line number. There's two 5650s.
We highlighted that. There's two 5650s. I've made note.
Gotcha.
And the consortium part, we talked, is that you guys hired an administrator.
Correct. Yes, our library is shared with 10 other libraries, and in the past, we took turns as directors doing the administrative work, and it was just too taxing on us, and so we went through the process. We went through all of our city attorneys to get an administrator hired, and so that's why there's an increase in the consortium to cover the cost for that administrator, and he has been tremendously invaluable as far as getting stuff done on the back end of the consortium.
And I want to let the council know that the library is a levied department, and you guys have always graciously given them the extra 3%. Or was it more than that?
3%.
So they get their levy money, and Shasta and the library board, talking to the chairman there, and Shasta will always say how grateful they are to receive that extra 3%, because there's a lot of things that if that's all they have, they can't do all the great things they're currently doing. So I want to say thank you for that as well.
And they do amazing things, but not very much.
Yeah.
Anything else, Shasta?
Just may mention that we've seen a revenue so far since starting in December for our passport service. We're up to 11,000 in revenue. So that projected amount for next year is pretty possible. So I'm happy to see that. But at the same time, that will mean we need help.
And that revenue is coming at a very, very conservative scheduling rate right now, too. So
Right. Yep. We're doing 3 appointments a day, Monday through Friday. But that also means that typically we could have 2 applications during each appointment. Some will sneak in 4 during an appointment, and depending upon if it's like a family, that kind of, which is great, that's totally fine, but that just means more time involved for staff.
And it's pretty steady.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, it's very steady.
Between the courthouse here and surrounding communities that would offer that, either there's been a reduction by some of those other entities that offer that that same service, or they're just so booked and people will travel in from the Treasure Valley to come out here.
We've had people from Nampa, Emmett, Twin Falls come all the way over here just to get their service done.
How are you doing on staffing?
I'm not gonna lie, I would love more. I have worried about, especially my programming staff, making sure they don't burn out. I have asked them to look at their programming and see which programs they could afford to cut, just because I don't want them feeling like they have to overwhelm themselves. It's definitely something that I've looked at as far as even just people in and out of the door. I've seen an increase. That's why if you look on the janitor line, we had to increase it just because of foot traffic. We've seen an uptick in needing cleaning service. When it comes right down to it, yeah, I will eventually need to ask for that, in the upcoming years as far as staffing goes.
Remember, we just approved the salary line budget and moving libraries from a 3 to a 5 now. And then most of their monies, I won't say most of it, but a lot of it is in salaries and fringe.
So, and Shasta, what might that look like in the coming year or two? Would that be an additional full-timer? Would that be converting a part-timer to a full-time?
So this year we tried to hire another part-time, and it happened twice where we would hire someone and then they'd quit pretty soon. In the scheme of a 90-day period, they would just quit. And so it was disheartening to feel like here we have this available and we're not being able to fill it. And therefore I didn't feel confident in asking for a full-time simply because we couldn't even fill the part-time position that was available. But ultimately, I think what it comes down to is they want fringe benefit. It's not just a side gig for somebody. It's somebody who wants to be all in, essentially.
Do we know what the personnel cost difference would be between what the part-timer is currently and what that potential future full-timer, if you were to convert a position?
Well, when we were doing our budget as a board meetings, we came to the consensus that we wanted to, because we have that part-time position, so if we can roll that, the thinking is that we can roll that over into next year, like if it doesn't get filled, and then we can come back and ask, and instead of asking for a full-time hire, then we're only asking for essentially half of the pay and then the fringe, right? So a part-time now is, I think, 17. So
Yeah, what, 46%?
40, yeah, it's around 45 on the fringe part.
Okay.
Which is the, I hate to say that's the hard part, but that's the hard part is when you tack on the fringe. But if we can get, going into FY '27, if we've got that part-time position, all we need to do is another 17,000, and then 46%. I think that's a good. That was our plan. That was the goal.
But you're budgeted for 2 part-timers, right?
Correct.
And you're only filled 1.
Correct.
So you're saying you keep the second one vacant for a full year, and then combine the 2 part-times into the full-time?
Yeah, because we have a part-time in there now that I think she's expressed interest in.
She has expressed
So-
interest in
So
being
it's truly
part-time.
just a question of fringe then, if you don't contend to keep another part.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. I'm not sure how that works with the levy and all that, but I can ask later.
Okay, any other questions for Shasta or Daniel? All right, thank you. Let's run to Jay.
Come on.
Let's do it.
but, I mean, it's gonna be a little while before we really know. We're halfway, so, with all those new carts, halfway through the year.
Your season or the year?
The season.
I think the big question
I think we're gonna be good.
on your budget comes down to like the clubhouse, as we've already spent a lot of money on it, but can you just kind of outlay your vision with the different line items all related to clubhouse repair and maintenance
Oh, okay.
and
So,
capital outlay?
So before you jump, there's 18,000 left in the gas and oil line in the golf budget currently, so.
Yeah, fine.
there we go.
And then, just so that council's aware, I kind of, after the last episode of the clubhouse, Jake and I and Paula kind of sat down and were like, hey, how do we never get in this situation again? Like, what do we do for upgrading and keeping our restaurant equipment up to date and current and meeting code? And how do you keep the exterior and the interior of the facility up to par routine, so we're not back where we were
So speaking
6
of,
months ago. So not all of it is necessarily all on Jake, right? Like, it was kind of a team effort. So I don't want you guys to just poke at him
No,
about
no,
why
not
you
at
did
all.
that.
but I do have a question on that when you speak about restaurant repairs. So, 3850 restaurant repairs, you're asking to increase 5,000 to go up to 20,000, and then 1,400. You're wanting to go up to 10,000 more from the 25,000 to 35,000. But then also on your capital outlay, you have 10,000, and then you have interior repairs for 7,500. So I guess with Councilman Brennan, I guess just explain then what restaurant equipment would be in the capital outlay, and then it's also 3850 as restaurant repairs asking for additional
So,
5,000.
sorry, Jake, I'm gonna jump in. So
Go
some of the restaurant repairs, like specifically our hood is not compliant with the existing stove top that's there. And so we have to make upgrades to that hood to meet code.
Which one is that falling under? Capital outlay or?
Well, if it's over $5,000, it's gonna be a capital outlay.
Gotcha.
And my assumption is it probably will fall there, but I don't know the price of that today. But that's where we're kind of at. We will, and then the other additional part is a fridge isn't very cheap. And we have 2 and a freezer that stand out in a shed that doesn't have the best of environment for them. So, I think those are the things realistically we're looking at, trying to ensure that we have funds in that line. And then moving to the 4,100 line, that 3,500 buildings and grounds, that's collaboratively exterior and interior. So it's not just, and Jake's really good at spending the exterior portion of it.
3810.
Yeah, she asked on the 40-0.
40-0 is mainly, oh yeah, you're right, okay.
Right, do you see what I'm saying?
All buildings.
Yeah,
And
and the ground.
all grounds, and mainly it's ground, so.
Correct. So just to clarify those lines. And then the capital outlay, Jake and I, and like Paula, and we've dialogued with the mayor a little bit, is you guys have seen that fenced area with the sheds. I think a goal of ours would be to clean that area up. Is that getting the freezers out of the sheds and doing some kind of large outdoor refrigerated unit and kind of cleaning that up to make first eye appearance a little more attractive. That's not saying necessarily we do it this year. We don't even know, like, we kind of like bounced ideas off of one another. We don't even know what the cost of that would be. So it could be potentially, like Councilman Brennan always says, a build opportunity to fund it, to put money in it, to put an exterior large unit fridge outside hooked up that's more economical and better bang for the dollar than limping along these interior freezers in a shed.
And where would that be? Then, is that capital
Yep,
outlay?
yep.
Under which one?
And again, those are ideas we've thrown out to you. Like,
Okay.
and restaurant equipment isn't very inexpensive either.
Because
And
capital
outlay, it's 201,500, so that's quite a bit, right? And so when it's just says equipment inventory or interior repairs, it's pretty generic, right? Yeah, so.
But I don't know when the flat top's gonna break, and when it breaks, we gotta fix it.
So you got the oven hood, you got the refrigerator.
We own every piece of equipment in that
No,
restaurant.
sure, what else are you thinking? I'm just
So
trying
the
to.
flat, yeah, the HVAC, but the flat top's also gonna go. Jared's been,
Moving it.
some days it's hot, some days it's cold. So he's actually trying to ask me when we can get a new one right now, so. The flat top would be probably some definitely.
How much
wanna
is
get.
that one?
I don't know, I told him to get me some bids on like which one he would think would work under there, but they also have to get a new hood fan. So it's kind of all works together because it has to fit under the hood fan. So,
We weren't compliant, we have to leave 2 burners off because of the burners are under the hood fan,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the only restaurant thing is, it says restaurant equipment 10,000. That's the only thing interior in that 9,900 line.
Jake, what are your driving range improvements?
I think just from because I really would like to get nets around the whole thing, but that's gonna be a lot of money. So I think if we were to go with the 25,000, I would get a net in the back to keep all the balls from going in the canal. That'd be the first thing I would do with it.
You know how much a net is?
What that cost might look like.
Not for just the back, but I've explored for the whole thing, and it's pretty pricey, like a few $100,000 pricey. So it's not reasonable to do. So yeah.
Jake, I don't see your pump in here. Your well house.
Yeah.
You said it's like 1990, and it's
the irrigation, the whole irrigation pump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. So
But
you're looking
that's
at
a need, but that's not.
it's a need. It's a need. I didn't put it in here just because there's a lot in there, and so I was just kind of trying not to overdo it. But it's we're gonna be looking around 100,000 for that whole thing. Because you're gonna be digging out, redoing the wet well, the building, rebuilding the whole pump station.
So Jake, you have like 5 different mowers listed on page 3. Are these, so you're saying these are the priority then, over the pump?
Well, I have to have the pump I have to have the mowers to cut the grass.
Right.
But I also have to have the pump, so there's really, the only reason they're in there is that I have to have them. The pump's working right now, the mowers are falling apart. That's Brent, he was out there yesterday and one wouldn't even start. So, and that was the rough mower that we bought last year, the old one.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even, we've been trying to keep it going, repairing it all summer. And then I showed him too, some of the other ones there, they're just, the oil's just leaking out of them, and to replace those, the motors for those, it's like a hydraulic motor, they're $3,000, so when we go through those to replace those, it's just, it doesn't make sense. And I showed him another mower that we're parked, and we're just piecing off it just to keep the other ones going. So that's why I like to try to keep all the mowers on a lease agreement, so they can just roll out. Because after you do a lawnmower for 4,000 hours, they're done. You're just going to start spending all kinds of money just to keep them going. So.
Jake, my request, we kind of talked about it, is the Echo robots. You canceling that this year? Primarily because we don't have the ones we've already agreed to pay for, and they could not, potentially they don't arrive
They're saying August now.
this fiscal year maybe.
Yeah, we're hoping that, after talking to them yesterday, they were supposed to get 4 containers of them in from Japan. They only got 1. 3 are supposedly at customs. I don't know. So,
And
just kind of
like before, like I'd like to see the success of them before we commit to 2 more of them. So my request on that particular item would be to come back the next fiscal year if they're successful. And we talked about that it's not going to be a manpower saver either. Like you're just going to get more
just be able to move
labor labor out of the current personnel that you have
Yeah.
to maybe accomplish more projects.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to get rid of the manpower.
I never want to get rid of manpower for a robot.
I agree with you on that,
Yeah.
but I do want the robots.
Okay.
Jake,
Yeah.
on your HVAC upgrades, your interior repairs for 7,500, you're trying to get ductless AC. Are you sure it's gonna be 7,500? Because I just put in ductless AC in one of my
I'm not sure,
commercial.
that's just talking to sex hours.
It's a lot more than that. I just put in a ductless AC unit in one of my commercial buildings.
We were talking about just putting it on the one side.
It's on the
Bar
bar
side.
side,
Just
the
the
mini
bar
split
side.
on the bar side.
Is it up even more than that?
I'm just saying I would finite those numbers because it was a lot more than that. But I could be, Jim might be cutting you guys a little deal, so.
Or maybe giving you a worse deal. I'm just kidding.
I didn't use it, so I know I can.
Okay, we'll look into that one.
Councilman Brennan, the removal of the Echo robots, I didn't quite catch that. I wasn't a part of that conversation. So is that looking at waiting to receive the two that we committed to for this current budget year and then projecting that we're going to remove the remaining
The two
that were originally targeted off in the future?
Yeah, keep going with the two that are en route, although we still haven't signed lease documents or anything like that for them. Let them continue to come. And then the two that are requested here, push those off another year. And hopefully that gives us a little time to see and experience if it's something we want to invest more.
And that was part of the conversation last year, I believe,
Yeah.
right? Because you wanted 4, and then we're like, hey, we'll give you 2, see how you like them, and then maybe 2 more, right? And but if you haven't even got the first 2, then we don't know how you like them, right?
Okay, so you have $15 or 15,000 to play with.
But go yell it.
Can we go back to that mountain discussion? Is that a need this year or another year?
I mean, I put a lot of money into the pump every year. It goes down all the time. I have 2 pumps. I have a 75 horse and a 40 horse pump. And just, I mean, they put in a 97 and they're not, I don't know. I personally think the city probably skimped on when they put them in too, just like when they put the irrigation system in, they just tried to save money. And there's a lot of issues. And so I'm just constantly rebuilding the pumps and just everything with it.
Does that come out of your 40
Comes out of, so
or irrigation?
irrigation.
40/20?
Yep. That's why we upped the irrigation a few
Yeah.
years back,
Yeah.
because just,
And that's maintenance, that's not a replacement. Can we, how would you feel about cutting some of these capital outlay stuff and prioritizing the water for the golf course to keep it green rather than the nets and maybe the mechanic or equipment storage facility?
I'd be okay with so like that for storage, like the storage facility, like I was telling you yesterday, like we have this $70,000 sprayer, the tractor, the Kubota tractor, the rough mower, the Ventrac. There's mowers that can't go inside anywhere, so they're just outside. So that's why I would like that, but I mean, I would be totally fine with doing that and putting it towards the pump system.
Like your clubhouse siding, that's 40 right there.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to, like, I'm fine with that, like, if that's what you guys want to do, I'm totally fine with it. And me personally, I'd rather fix the pump, because that's the heart of the system of the, but I also want to see the clubhouse get, a facelift. That thing's,
Oh, I agree. Trust me, I'm not,
so
I'm just saying.
it's hard for me to it's like, what do you do?
Would you be able to find the numbers for the pump if we put this on?
Yeah, so I got a quote halfway, maybe in the winter time, and I have it, and I could get it to you for tomorrow. I think when I looked at it, if I remember right, it was like, I'm not even gonna say, I can't remember, but it's gonna be somewhere around the 100,000 range.
Well, I think, go ahead. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, maybe we could also, in coupling with getting the price of that, get together how much the actual maintenance has been on your current pump. So we
Yeah.
kind of have like an idea, like maybe a 2-year, last 2
Yeah,
years.
we could do that.
Because then we kind of have, it gives us an idea of how much we've spent and what we could have
spend versus just buying new ones.
And just to be honest, every year since I've been here, I mean, I've slept in the pump house multiple times just to keep it going. I mean, every year I have issues with it since I've been here. Every year. So we've rebuilt the pumps probably, I don't know, just off the top of my head, maybe four times maybe, and then we've rewound the motors probably the same amount, and then just other issues, you know. So
How many pumps are we talking?
there's two.
Two. And $100,000, is that one or is that two?
That'd be the whole thing, it'd be two.
Okay.
Yeah.
They gotta,
But that's just a number I'm
Sure.
throwing out right now.
they gotta bring it in a different way. Right now, it goes.
So they're vertical turbine, right, or they're horizontal.
It
We
needs
want
to sit
vertical.
over the water, not
Yeah.
with the tube that goes
So like it goes, they're horizontal, so they go out 10 feet and then drop another 10 feet into a wet well. We use vertical turbines that are actually sitting right over, like the pump house is sitting over my wet well, just to help with a bunch of stuff. But they're just old too.
And that 100,000 would cover the pumps and the
I don't know about the building. I don't know about the building. That the building might be up something.
That's the context that I think I would like to see as we discuss that more.
I would say that it's not the building. It'd be just the irrigation, the pump side of it, and it probably wouldn't be like building the wet well, you know, like what everything. Like it's probably just the pump system.
Right, and so that's the part of planning for a big project like that.
Yeah.
That encompassing the entirety of the project cost and making that very clear. I would love to see those numbers if you can bring some of that back tomorrow.
I can definitely get you the pump numbers tomorrow.
You know, or we can look at some comparatives on, you know, building size, what we spent to build other things, and kind of back into an estimate of what that might cost. Other buildings that we built throughout the city for other purposes, obviously. But I would like us to put a pin in the golf budget until tomorrow. We can see that, start moving through methodically what may need to shift and how to address those.
And then if we're gonna spend that kind of capital, I want you to get it, there's no reason to spend all that money on the pump system if it doesn't incorporate the building itself, because why do it halfway, you know what I mean?
Well, I just got the bid on the pump, right? I'd have to go
Right,
to another
and mechanics.
construction company to get all that.
Still, it'd be a good number to have.
Yeah.
Because I agree with Becky, or sorry, Councilwoman Garvey, that I'd rather not see a net. I'd rather you put the 25 that or the siding towards that. You know what I mean? There's things in here that.
No, I agree. I just didn't want to overload the. I mean, it's our kind of big budget. I already know it is, so it's just trying to be a team.
And then
core of golf operations
Right.
is the course itself. You know, these other things, like if you don't have water to water the course, then the value of that asset goes down. And I think that's why I'd like to see that.
And then really, sorry, Councilman, really quick, can you tell them what happened to the greens?
Yeah. So actually, the pump was down, right? So the pump was down for a week. It was about the week where we just started getting really hot weather, and it was probably like 85 or something. The greens were starting to turn. The pump has been down for a week. So I had the fire department come in. They came in and watered the greens because they were turning brown and dying. And we got that done. And then that weekend we got a huge rainstorm, and it was humidity. They were humid. I didn't think much of it. I just thought, okay, sweet, we got rain. I'm going to catch up on everything. The soil will give me a few more days. And then the pump guy helped me get the pump going Sunday. Turned the water on Sunday night. Pump was down Monday when I got to work. So diagnosed problem for that one, which that time it wasn't necessarily the pump itself. It was the beaver that was causing problems with the wet well screen. And so we got that all fixed. And in the process, I had to drain the pond again for that week. So it was 2 weeks right there with hardly any water. But that rain was 85 degrees more weather or temperature with 65 at night. That's Pythium blight. Like that's when Pythium blight comes and with humid. You usually don't get Pythium blight around here because we don't ever have humid temperatures really. And so I've never had to spray for Pythium here, so I didn't have the fungicides on hand. And then also we got hit with summer patch at the same time. But I was spending most of my time at the pump, so I didn't have time to like walk on the greens. And when I did, once we got it going, I saw it. I hurried and sent a sample in just to make sure I knew exactly what it was. Sample came back in, came to me on Sunday morning. I got the email. So then I started figuring out where to get the fungicides. Got them ordered. They didn't show up till like Tuesday or Wednesday. By that time, it's already spreading. Pythium blight is a turf. It's a foliar. It's on the grass blades. So I had to spray that with a totally different fungicide than the summer patch. Summer patch is in the roots. So I had to get a different fungicide for that, and I had to water that in, so you can't spray them at the same time. So that was I had to do that 3 times. I've done it 4 times now actually, and it's killed, but the damage was done. So now we're just trying to catch up on all of it. So it's kind of just a freak thing. Everything just kind of happened all at once.
What's the cost to applicate? Like $3,800 bucks?
Yeah, it's like a little over $3,000 per spray for that.
And you've done it 4 times.
Yeah, a little over $3,000 for each spray, and I've sprayed each one 3 times. So, well, Pythium blight I've sprayed before because I'm growing in the new greens, the seed on those, and Pythium attacks the new seedlings, the germination really bad. So I've been spraying that just to keep the Pythium out, and so yeah, it's pretty pricey to get that stuff out. But I've never seen it here in the little over 12 years I've been here. Never had any issues with it, and most people don't here in this area. So.
Will you continue to have a problem?
Well, the pathogens are in the soil, so it all just depends on if, just weather. And if I see humid coming with rain and wet and hot, hot days and 65s at night, I'm gonna have to be ready to go out and spray. I'm not gonna wait for it to get to me. I'm gonna go out with a preventative spray so we don't get hit again. So I just have to have that fungicide on hand.
Did you budget for that?
I got it. I can pay for it in there. Like not over and over and over again, right? But I can do it like once or twice a year. I'd be okay with.
It's a lot of money.
But if we get hit like we did, I don't have the money for that to do that. I had to not buy some fertilizer and things because of this.
So
they're slowly coming back. Summer patch takes a really long time for it to go up. So, and I've never dealt with it, just everybody that I've talked to in the industry says it takes months to heal up. So we're just slowly sodding stuff out. I've had to close down 4 greens. They're really close to getting ready to open up. They're all seeded in. Like we said, 17. Someone did donuts on it over the weekend and screwed it up, but 18 greens really close. I probably could open it, but I'm gonna wait just because I can and just make sure everything's healthy. 8's really close, and 10's really close too. So
we're gonna put a pin in the golf course for tomorrow, right, Council? Okay.
Jake, when you come back with those numbers, can you also kind of do a self-assessment of your capital outlay items and your requests for new leases and purchases, and decide which ones you would prioritize for the reallocation? Yeah. And then, I don't know how new your numbers are. Didn't you say you got the quote for the pump system in the winter?
yeah, it was like maybe January-ish or something when the pump guy was here helping me.
If there's time in the morning, maybe see if they knock out a quick update to that price. If not, that's okay.
Yeah, I'll call them.
Okay.
It's going to take a little bit to get someone to give me a quote on a building and everything. Because they probably need to see the pump stuff and exactly what's going on over it. But
Your pump guy has connections, I would assume, to that?
no, I don't think so. I'll ask him. I don't know. Because I think golf courses usually just bring in a construction company that's in their town to come build it over, do the concrete work. It would definitely be a winter thing.
T, where are we at? We at 5?
We're at 5 o'clock.
Okay, we will come back tomorrow.